Hello, Star Trek fans. Welcome to ReBingeIT. This is the ReBinge Star Trek Voyager podcast. My name is Kim.
And my name is James.
And we are rebinging Star Trek Voyager from the beginning, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are on Season 4, Episode 16, Prey, with an E. This episode aired February 18th, 1998. Before we talk about this one, anything to say about last week's episode, which was Hunters?
No, it was perfect.
Yeah, I think it was.
Thinking about it, they did get a lot of Hirogen killed. I mean, it might have been the Hirogen's own fault, but there was like 4 ships there. So I don't think Voyager's going to be very popular.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that was their plan, but their plan was so risky.
Yeah.
That they're lucky to still be alive.
Foolish, yes.
Yeah, maybe foolish.
Yeah, let's go and disturb the containment field of a miniature black hole. Yeah, not a good plan.
Well, I think we didn't know enough about the Hirogen to know how they were going to react. We learn a little bit more in this episode.
That's true.
But yeah, at that point, I think Janeway thought, well, they're not going to just fly into death. And then they did. So,
gosh.
Yeah.
In Janeway's defense, that usually is a valid assumption.
Yeah, you'd think that would have worked, but it did not. Well, should we get started on this one? I think it's sort of a continuation, really, of last week, but not a part 2.
Well, yeah, we're having this extended arc now with the Hirogen as they're in this area of space.
Right.
It's sort of like how we had the Kazon repeatedly showing up in Season 1, despite the fact they were dreadfully lame.
Yeah.
We open straight into a space shot of a species 8472 bioship being pursued by Hirogen. On the Hirogen ship, we see 2 Hirogen who are following the bioship, referring to it as the Prey. And most notably here, one of the Hirogen is Tony Todd in his 3rd Star Trek character appearance.
Yep, that's right. You can tell it's him right away because his voice is so distinct.
Oh, absolutely. May he rest in peace. He just passed away last year.
Yeah.
Although I did like his small role in Final Destination Bloodlines.
Was he only in that one?
No, he was in lots of them, including the first one. I think he might have been in all of them.
I know we saw the first one, but virtually no memory of it.
I don't want to think.
How long ago that was?
There are members of my book club who are younger than that movie.
Oh, no. The other thing to note in this scene is that neither one of these Hirogen are wearing masks.
Yeah.
They're anti-maskers. That's the first time we've seen a Hirogen without a mask on.
Well, they're on their own ship. They didn't have to worry about germs from other races.
Sure. Well, I mean, those guys in the last one were on their own ship, and they both had their masks on.
Yeah.
I imagine they just found it too cumbersome to do a whole episode with that thing over their face. They probably couldn't breathe.
Oh, that's a good point. It probably would. It would certainly reduce the amount of time for putting on the makeup if they just have a mask. So it's only the eyes that you really see.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, maybe that they were saving some time, and now it's like, no, you got to do it. You got to do the whole thing.
Well, there's a few scenes in this episode where you see Tony Todd with the full face makeup, and I'm just thinking, like, how much time did he spend having that thing put on?
Yeah.
Back to the show, and the bioship does get a hit on the Hirogen vessel, but it doesn't do any damage. This, I think, is very interesting, as one partial hit from one of species 8472 almost destroyed Voyager. So either this the bioship is in a weakened condition, or the Hirogen are really tough. Remember, a couple of hits from bioships could take out an entire Borg cube.
Yeah. I think the implication is the ship is quite damaged, and the alien inside is also quite damaged. And didn't we have a whole thing about how they're connected because they're both organic?
I wonder if that makes a difference. If it's a symbiotic relationship between the two.
I've decided they're connected.
Headcanon.
Yeah.
Oh, so you lead off with the headcanon this week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Hirogen track the bioship into an asteroid belt, and Tony Hirogen, which is what I'm going to call him from now on, declares he's not come to hide. He's come to make a final stand.
Oh my God. The dramatic platitudes.
Oh, the Hirogen are full of them. It's great. One of the things that works in this episode is having Tony Todd, who has that great movie voice. delivering these platitudes. And it so works for the Hirogen.
Yeah, it adds to the drama.
Right.
And obviously the drama of the kill is important to them.
Yeah, right.
It's not just body count.
I do feel Tony's sidekick should have pointed out the odds of successfully navigating an asteroid field.
Sure. It's not easy. Especially when the way he's operating the computer is it's just a giant bumble ball on the wall.
Yes, with the little rod sticking out that you push in and out.
Yeah, I remember it would bounce around by itself. You would just turn it on and it would just bounce around. If you're too young to know what that is, you can Google it.
There's a lot of visual style in this episode that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing we see is that, as in the previous episode, the Hirogen put paint on their helmet when they're about to embark on the hunt.
More drama.
Yes. Oh, and there's a great scene where Tony Hirogen goes over to a wall full of weapons. It's so funny because he's like touching some of the weapons like, oh, I like this one. I like this one. Oh, I'm going to take the big gun, the big silver gun.
Fondles his guns. He and Janeway would be friends if they weren't bitter enemies.
Cut to the two Hirogens stalking the species 8472 on the asteroid. They finally corner it, and the two of them just open up, shooting it until it stops moving. Tony Hirogen announces, again very dramatically, a flawless kill. And into the opening credits.
Was that from a video game?
It feels like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it sounded ridiculous.
I believe it was flawless victory in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay. It's not completely flawless.
Well, as we see.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things I want to bring up in this opening of the CGI is a little bit hokey.
It's not bad for the 90s.
It's not bad. It's not that great. But the thing I really do like is here we get a really good look at the full Hirogen body armor. And it's really impressive. I mean, I love the helmets with that sort of cool layered, it's like ripples curving back. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody cosplay as one of those characters. And this is a perfect character to play. These sort of power suits look amazing.
Yeah. It would be a bit hot for a summer-based con.
Yeah, you're right.
Like this last weekend, there was Rhode Island Comic-Con, maybe there. It'd be cool enough.
Somewhere where you won't die of heat stroke within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now to Voyager, and we get a little bit of humor where the Doctor is helping, or at least trying to help, with training Seven in the social graces. Apparently, Kes used to help the Doctor with this, which I thought was funny.
That was funny.
And I do think somebody has finally listened to my idea of giving Seven classes in social interaction.
But the Doctor?
Well, Harry would be the only person worse, but, maybe the Doctor's a good candidate. Seven does not find this endeavor useful, but the Doctor is very sincere, convincing her to at least try the exercises. She relents, taking the data pad, and as she leaves, she tells him, "Have a pleasant day," very stiffly. I mean, she's getting the idea, not necessarily the sentiment, but I did actually like this idea.
Yeah, that was cute. And although the Doctor didn't say thank you, which would have been polite, so he hasn't really learned all of his lessons either. Yeah. There were two things in this scene I wanted to mention. One is when they're doing a little role play where he's playing the nurse and she's playing the Doctor.
Yes.
And her line from his role play script is to tell the nurse that she looks lovely today. And, not ideal workplace language for two reasons. One, because you're kind of gendering that character, which I don't think was good. But two, don't say stuff like that at work.
Clearly, Kes didn't train the Doctor in inappropriate things to say in the workplace.
Yeah. You should say something like, "Your hair is fire." Something like that. I would accept that.
"Your hair looks particularly fierce today."
And then the other thing I noted was when she said, "This lesson is terminated." And it reminded me of our old boss, Linda, when she would get annoyed and want to end a meeting. "This meeting is over."
Yes, we've both seen that. That was actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's completely what this reminded me of.
Still laugh about one of those instances. On the bridge, they detect a Hirogen vessel, which just rocks up to Voyager and stops. Chakotay thinks it's a trap, but they can't detect any Hirogen ships nearby. I'm wondering if anybody checked behind any nearby moons?
I mean, a trap is a good guess, and not something we would normally guess.
Right. And Sisko's standard procedure in that situation was hide behind a moon.
Or they said there was a life sign on the other ship. They just beamed that right onto ops.
Janeway asks Harry to run a long-range scan for Hirogen vessels. Shouldn't this be like a standard procedure? Like, wouldn't you be doing that normally?
Yeah.
Or is this something that only tactical would really do?
I would think that would be normal procedure.
Yeah.
But I think they just needed to say it so that you knew.
Yeah. There's a little bit of interaction between Seven and Janeway, where Janeway wants to board the Hirogen vessel to learn something about the species and possibly show a little compassion to an injured pilot. But Seven is like, this is a bad idea. It's a threat. Just destroy it. I assume Janeway is giving Seven a lot of leeway here, allowing her to question her orders as a learning exercise.
She says that later at the end.
It's sort of like trying to get Seven to understand why it's not a good idea to think like a Borg and behave a little bit more like an evolved human or a Starfleet officer.
Yeah, it would have been helpful if maybe Tuvok had said, hey, that's not the place to argue with the captain. You know, something like that.
He's kind of done that before, but...
Well, he did it, but then they lost all track of it, remember? Because it happened in Year of Hell.
You're right, that was Year of Hell.
Yeah.
Maybe this is because she's Janeway's project employee. She's sort of tolerating this.
Yeah.
And I would wonder maybe Tuvok isn't stepping up at that point and saying, now is not the time to question the captain's orders. Or even Chakotay, for that matter. If you know what I mean? If there's almost like a, don't annoy Janeway, this is her pet project.
Yeah, which is why you shouldn't have pet projects on the bridge.
Good life advice there. Over to the Hirogen ship as Tom, Tuvok, and Chakotay beam aboard. And the Hirogen torture dungeon looks completely beaten up, completely trashed.
Looks like someone had a rave.
Yes. That would have been a good line from Chakotay. Did someone have a rave here?
Was there a party?
Looked like his dorm in Starfleet Academy.
Mm-hmm.
They start exploring the ship, and there's a bit where Chakotay walks past the wall of weapons. To me, this feels totally Predator, because they have the skulls as trophies as well.
Oh.
And having just watched Predator Badlands, it's like, wow, there are so many parallels here.
Okay. I'll have to take your word for it.
They also find a weird vat of alien parts, which appears to be stewing. And Chakotay speculates that it could be dinner.
It was all foamy at the top, too.
Yes.
Like maybe they were brewing some beer. Like this is a Hirogen microbrewery or something.
Oh, I think that the Hirogen were making stock. The race actually lives off soup.
Oh, God, that's gross. Yuck.
Elsewhere on the ship, Tom finds a Hirogen helmet and picking it up, discovers there's still a head in it.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought the eyes were going to open.
Right.
Yeah.
And scanning the remaining parts, Tom determines the Hirogen was physically torn apart.
Oh, yeah.
So I think by now, we, as the viewer, should have come to the conclusion that the species 8472 Prey wasn't actually dead when they brought it on board.
Yeah, clearly.
They find a bulkhead, and the away team discovers Tony the Hirogen in his panic room, severely injured, but still clinging to his big silver gun, and they beam him back to Voyager. And honestly, knowing Chakotay, I'm surprised he didn't let him keep the gun.
Well, they obviously bring the gun with, so we'll see it again.
It's not quite the same, but that big silver gun did remind me of Men in Black, the first one.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
In a briefing, Chakotay and Tuvok are giving Janeway the lowdown on the Hirogen, describing them as a hunting species that travel vast distances. They also like to display the skeletal remains of their prey as trophies. Interestingly, Tuvok notes there is no evidence of a home planet. They travel alone or in small groups, likening them to wolves. Janeway does point out to Seven that this mission was a good idea. They've gained a lot of knowledge of the Hirogen. And Seven just replies, "You were right. This time." She is so rude.
She remains a bit spicy.
Janeway did have the smuggest expression of the whole episode on her face at this point.
Yeah, I don't think that's great leadership.
Cut to an outside shot of Voyager, and we see one of species 8472 climbing on the outer hull of Voyager into the dramatic ad break.
That was excellent, I thought.
Yes.
I mean, it looked cool, but also it was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Sort of alien-like. And that alien looks a bit like a praying mantis. And so it's moving bug-like on the ship, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, this goes back to when 8472 first appeared. It's kind of cool to see an alien that looks completely alien. isn't a guy with makeup or whatever. Its movements are all strange, and you know, the body shape of it is just odd, almost like insect-like.
Has to be special effects or puppetry or something.
Right.
The other thing I took note of here is, for some strange reason, Janeway's makeup is really heavy.
Oh.
Like, she is wearing, like, really red lipstick here, which has not been a normal thing with Janeway.
Yeah.
And she's also got eyeshadow on. I was like, what? I went back and I'm like, have I just not noticed how much makeup she's been wearing? And I went back and it's like, oh no, this is different.
Oh, interesting.
So it's weird. And it actually kind of fades throughout the episode.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was a conscious choice or if they changed makeup artists or something, but it was really distracting.
I admit I did not really notice that.
It's there. You'll have to trust me.
In sickbay, the doctor is explaining the Hirogen has regained consciousness and is not being very cooperative.
Shocking.
Apparently, he can't sedate him either, as the Hirogen immune system neutralizes everything. That was kind of impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, for such a badly injured Hirogen, he doesn't seem that incapacitated.
No, he's
compared
standing.
to how it was when they beamed him aboard.
He's standing. He's like holding his arm. That's it.
I'm assuming that either they have very rapid regeneration capabilities, or maybe the suit aids in stabilizing or repairing physical damage. Because, I mean, the guy was like lying like he was about to croak on the ship, and now here he seems fine. My arm hurts a little bit.
And you can't see a single injury on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Janeway tries a little diplomacy, and the Hirogen explains he was on a hunt, which he wants to return to. Janeway does convince him to receive some treatment for his wounds, and I did like here how the doctor explains to Tony the Hirogen he's a hologram and can't be bent, spindled, or mutilated. So it's not worth trying.
I did like that, yeah.
I'll note here that the Hirogen says to Janeway about the prey, we captured it, and it broke free. When in the opening he said, flawless kill.
Exactly.
I assume he's covering for his own incompetence here of not making sure it was actually dead.
Yeah. Not so flawless.
Less flawless kill.
Yep.
On the bridge, they've detected 6 Hirogen ships closing in on Voyager, and they'll arrive in 4 hours. So it looks like Tony Hirogen managed to get out a distress call. Janeway wants to buy time for the doctor to treat the Hirogen, hoping that old-fashioned diplomacy can get them out of this. Chakotay does point out to Janeway that the Hirogen don't go in for diplomacy, and that they don't look at other species as equals, simply regarding them as game, or tasty ingredients for making soup.
Yeah, we should have considered this information that Chuckles brings in from the Hirogen database as pretty valuable information.
Yes.
He's like, there's no evidence of diplomacy in the entire database.
Right.
I feel like we could have paid attention to that.
I feel Janeway is being a bit of an Alpha Quadrant captain here. I think you should very much listen to what Chakotay is telling you.
Yep.
You're alone. There's 6 of them, possibly more on the way, and they're a violent, aggressive species. It does not seem like a good time to attempt diplomacy.
No, just put him on a shuttle and push him out from the dock towards these other ships and fly away. There you go.
And you could also argue that maybe the Hirogen's own people are better at treating Hirogen injuries than the doctor.
Right.
There's a sudden shaking, and Tuvok reports there was a hull breach. And a few seconds later, a second shaking as a bulkhead collapses, apparently without reason. Janeway sends Harry and Tuvok to check it out, and we go to Harry and Tuvok opening a Jeffries tube hatch to reveal a ripped open hole in Voyager's hull, plus what looks like a pool of cat puke on the floor in front of it. Space cats.
Based on recent experience, that is what it looked like.
It totally looked like it.
Yeah.
Tuvok scans the cat puke and calls Janeway, warning they may be an intruder on board, as the blood is from species 8472. Janeway instantly springs into action, ordering an intruder alert and sealing off decks 10 through 12. They can't detect the alien, but last time they encountered species 8472, it was impervious to their scanners. And at this point, I think you might be in real trouble.
Yeah.
Action Janeway grabs a phaser, leaves Chuckles in charge, and heads off to deck 11. And I was really hoping here she had a storage spot for her really big gun.
With her big gun,
yeah. Because she gets a normal phaser. I feel Janeway would actually have, maybe even behind a captain's chair, the big phaser.
Yeah, me too. 2 things. 1, I really liked when Tuvok said species 8472 and Chakotay just like jumps into action and we go immediately into red alert. I really like that. And the other thing is, it just seems crazy that the captain is the one we send down with the phaser, or she sends herself down. Nobody sends her down. I guess if it's Janeway, that's what you do. But I can't imagine Picard grabbing the phaser and going on a hunt.
This is where I am like, Janeway is Kirk. Kirk's not going to sit in the captain's chair. Kirk's going to be grabbing a phaser and heading out too. It might be dangerous, but I'm going to be the one who kills it.
Yeah.
It fits perfectly. But you're right. I do like the well-oiled machine aspect of it.
Yeah.
As soon as she gets this information, Chakotay is going to a panel to start scanning. Janeway is calling alert. This I thought was really good because it shows the sort of mechanics of how well the ship is operating at this point.
Right. And we've gotten so used to it in the Delta Quadrant. We've had a lot of practice at going to red alert.
Oh, another emergency. Yeah, we're really good at these now.
You know that thing you told me one time about women training to be, was it Marines? And they have to Marine harder than the men. They'll just put all of themselves at risk just in the exercises.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that reminded me of. Is that why Janeway has to be the one who gets the gun and goes after the alien? I mean, I wonder if they did that on purpose to make the woman captain look tougher. Do you know what I mean? When they were actually creating it.
Yeah.
Because that's a definite difference between what Picard would have done. Well, except for in First Contact.
Picard of the movies was different from Picard of the series.
Same with Kirk. Very different in the movies. You got to be the hero.
Okay, and I will headcanon it. He's different in the movies because of what happened in the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, he should be.
In engineering, B'Elanna is locking everything down, but too late. Species 8472 is already in there, and we see it jump down for the warp core, what looks like onto B'Elanna. Very dramatic.
Yeah. And how did no one see that thing? He's huge. And no one looked up?
Well, B'Elanna did right before it jumped on her.
Yeah.
Still in engineering, 4 crew have been injured, including B'Elanna, and 7 reports the creature escaped into the Jeffries tubes. So now Janeway and 7 head off looking for it. Janeway summarizes the Hirogen underestimated their latest prey, and 7 warns that species 8472 is devious and highly intelligent. It will seek the most efficient means of destroying us.
Right, and she says that the first thing it would do is go and disable their
power nodes, yeah.
Power nodes. So that is where he went, or it went. I don't know if it's a he. But it didn't cause any damage there, and it also didn't kill anyone in engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, it injured a few. And 7 is like, oh, well, then it's coming up with some other, evil tactic.
Yeah.
But they don't even consider that maybe it's doing something else. And I do think that's interesting.
It's not trying to destroy them.
Right.
At this point, I guess they're being very reactionary because of what 8472 has been in the past.
Oh, yeah. It feels very dangerous, the situation they're in. They can't track it. They can't stop it. Of course, it's very dangerous.
And also, I remember when it was talking to Kes, it was like the weak will be purged. So,
yes.
Yeah. Their motives seem a little harsh.
Well, which is why this should have been noteworthy.
Yeah.
That it didn't kill everybody.
That's a good
when
point.
It was in engineering.
Yeah.
Because when she's walking and talking with 7, Janeway doesn't say anything like that. Like, yeah, but he's doing something different.
Yeah. They don't even broach it. In sickbay, Janeway is interrogating the Hirogen, explaining the origin of its species 8472. She's worried this could mean another invasion. Tony the Hirogen tells her this was the only one. They tracked it across 50 light years and tells Janeway to lower the force field and he will finish the hunt. There's a little more conflict with 7 as Janeway wants to use the Borg nanoprobe-based weapons to disable the creature. But 7 just wants to kill it, describing it as an unnecessary risk. Janeway's had enough and ends up just directly telling 7, those are your orders. 7 seems to not quite be getting the chain of command here, which is kind of funny considering she's a Borg.
Right. We've overcorrected.
Yes. Oh, yes.
As they say.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have some overanalysis on that.
Okay.
Janeway tries to negotiate with Tony, pointing out they did save his life and asking him to call off the Hirogen reinforcements. He tells her, let me resume the hunt and I will grant your request. And then, for good measure, adds, let me continue or I will have the others destroy you. Tuvok calls as the creature has disabled life support on Deck 11 and then turns off artificial gravity. Janeway relents, allowing Tony to continue the hunt, but under the supervision of Chakotay. And in an absolute power move, right in front of the Hirogen, tells Chakotay, if he steps out of line, shoot him. I did like that.
Yeah, but you're also going to give him a gun, so he's going to also do the same.
If you notice in this scene as well, they make all the camera angles like shooting upwards to make Tony the Hirogen look so much taller than everyone else.
Yeah, because he is not as tall as Tiny Ron from the last episode.
There are very few people who are.
Yes.
After the Species 8472 hunt, and Chakotay and Tom are gearing up in spacesuits with a second team of Seven and Tuvok. And we go into a totally Aliens-esque wandering around a dark deck in spacesuits. That never gets old.
I do appreciate how hard they try to make it look like they're walking with magnetized boots.
And the sound effects of the clunking every time they put their foot down.
It's an abject failure. It does not look at all like they're walking with magnetized boots, but I appreciate that they tried.
During the hunt, Tuvok notes that Seven has become increasingly agitated since Species 8472 invaded the ship. Seven tells him how 8472 destroyed hundreds of Borg worlds and millions of drones, saying, I have reason to be agitated. Okay, we need to talk about this now.
Mm-hmm.
She still seems to harbor a lot of Borg. I feel there still needs to be some real deprogramming of her to get her out of the cult. Because, well, let's look at this. These worlds were already conquered by the Borg. They'd already had their indigenous peoples subjugated by a brutal expansionist empire. So it's almost like, oh, you're lamenting that these worlds you'd conquered were destroyed? Oh, and add on top of that, the Borg were the ones who started the war trying to assimilate 8472. I feel there's a lot here with Seven that is just so messed up.
Yeah. I was wondering if maybe, because that was the first species they encountered that they couldn't assimilate.
Yeah, she says that as well, yeah.
I wonder if that was actually bringing up something within the collective that they didn't know how to deal with, or they just didn't know how to process. We would call it fear, but I wonder if that's why this is resonating with her so strongly. Like they actually were experiencing an emotion. They didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was fear because it was killing them off by the billions.
And they had no defense for it.
They had absolutely no defense. Everything they tried failed.
Right.
Because then it would be more almost like PTSD by the time it got here.
She's sort of flashing back to what it was like at that time. And she's also dealing with human emotions of what it felt like.
Right.
Interesting. I still think they need to deprogram her.
Oh, well, yes, of course. She shouldn't be just thrown into situations like this and then expect that she's going to behave like the rest of them.
To me, it feels like she's almost saying, oh, in the good old days when I was back with the Borg, these people were mean to the Borg.
Yeah.
The Borg murdered billions.
Oh, that's terrible, yeah.
These worlds didn't join the Borg by choice.
Mm-hmm.
Chakotay's team eventually find the creature, but it's inactive and not attacking. Chakotay points out it appears hurt, but the Hirogen wants to strike now and kill it. Chakotay orders him to hold fire, but Tony the Hirogen just decks Chakotay, shoots Tom, and then opens fire on the creature. He manages to get in a few shots before Tuvok arrives, shooting Tony in the back, teaching the Hirogen an important tactical lesson: always watch your back.
I wondered what they expected Tony Todd to do in this scene. They armed him and sent him out on this hunt. Why were they all shocked when he shot the alien?
A species whose entire culture revolves around hunting, and you think just saying, don't shoot?
Yeah. But also, he has shot that thing many times and it's still alive, so I don't know why he thinks his gun is of any value.
He probably thinks he just hasn't shot it enough times.
Oh, okay. 30, 40 times, that'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. After the mess hall, and Tuvok is drafting Neelix in to help as additional security because of all the aliens on board. And as he's giving a briefing, Tuvok seems to see flashes of the alien, just like what happened to Kes when Species 8472 invaded her mind.
Mm-hmm.
Into a walking briefing with Janeway, Chakotay's turned the whole section into a brig, and the doctor details that the creature is suffering from multiple injuries, none of which he can do anything about. They also found the creature was attempting to access deflector control to open a singularity into its own realm, but failed. And then Janeway figures it out. It's just trying to get home. Or it could have been an advanced scout attempting to send a signal back saying, "Invasion's on, boys. Come on over. It's all clear."
Well, that's what Seven suggests, yeah.
It could be either.
Mm-hmm.
In the improvised brig, the creature is telepathically giving Tuvok its backstory. Its ship was damaged in the conflict with the Borg, and it was left behind. So 8472 are complete jerks. They leave their own behind.
Well, maybe all the other ships that he was with, maybe they were damaged or something. But I don't know, we didn't see much of that except for the nanoprobes. So yeah, I guess they just left him. They're like, what's one?
Has anybody seen Terry? No.
I hated that guy.
The species 8472 was then pursued by Hirogen hunting parties. It has no desire for conflict, and it only wants to return to its own domain. And it does actually look kind of pathetic here.
It does, yeah.
And Janeway does look kind of upset by this whole story. Mm-hmm. Janeway tells it they will open a singularity and send it home. But before it can tell them anything more, it passes out. Back to the Hirogen, who's now behind a force field again.
And Janeway marches into sickbay.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't seen her march for a while.
Well, he's demanding his prey, and Janeway tells him they're sending it home. Tony the Hirogen gets very upset by this, saying, "We will not be denied our prey. Give us the creature, or your crew will take its place." I do not feel this is a very good move from Janeway here.
Yeah. At this point, the alien species 8472 is dying, because that's what it said. And now she's about to take a risk that puts the whole crew in danger. But I don't dispute that it is the Starfleet way, what she's doing. But Janeway, has been really focused on protecting the crew.
Oh, very
for the
much
last,
so.
I don't know, I guess for this whole season. And this is not protecting the crew.
She could try lying. Where is my prey? Yeah, it escaped, got out through an airlock. It's gone. It's taken a shuttle.
Yeah, we're just going to, off you go. Here, we'll put you on, we'll put you on a shuttle and you go ahead after it.
Good luck finding it.
Send the shuttle off with nothing on it.
It left. It's on the shuttle. Good hunting.
Yep. Here's your gun. See you later. Nice chatting.
Send us a trophy from it.
And then set that shuttle to self-destruct.
Yeah, when the Hirogen get close.
No, the one with Hirogen on it is the one I meant. And then go get the other shuttle and get the hell out of there.
I like that plan.
And then you tell the other ships, we gave him a shuttle, but I don't know what happened. Yeah, we got to think strategically here about what we're doing.
Now in Janeway's ready room, she tells Seven she's sending the creature back to fluidic space and asks for her help to open a singularity to their realm. The Seven does not think this is a prudent course of action.
Well, it's not.
Janeway explains that part of becoming human is to have compassion for those who are suffering, even when they're your bitter enemies. She goes on to tell a story about how during a border conflict with the Cardassians, when she was just a lieutenant, she was ordered to rescue an injured Cardassian, which she did, and the Cardassian lives. She tells Seven, at the end of the conflict, the thing she was most proud of was saving that Cardassian's life. She left actually out the whole bit where that wounded Cardassian went on to murder several thousand Bajoran civilians during the occupation of Voyager.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, was that Gul Dukat?
Was that a good idea?
Yeah.
What did that guy do during the Bajoran occupation?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the point is, I'm sure there were plenty of soldiers in every war who don't really want to be in that war. And they're just doing what they're told to do. And
I'm doing it because I was stuck here.
Yeah, and they don't have any options. And they're maybe not even really trying that hard. They're just trying to stay alive. I don't know that that's as true in these more advanced wars with more advanced weapons where you don't have to be, necessarily in foxholes and getting your parts blown off. But I wonder if that's sort of what we're trying to connect all of this to, that potentially there are people in these wars and there are these aliens who are just stuck in it. And they don't want to be doing it, but they're doing it because they were told to do it.
I really wish I was back in fluidic space. I didn't want to go on this crusade into the Delta Quadrant. I went anyway, and now it's just a disaster.
I was really enjoying my model ship collection or my trains. I don't know how. I just got dragged out here, and I just want to go home. But it's hard to connect that when it's these violent aliens. But I imagine there was a lot of that same kind of stuff in World War I and II and all the other wars, where there just are people who they don't want to be part of it, but they're dragged into it.
I think it comes down to the professional versus a conscript army. It can be a big deciding factor in that.
Yeah, and we don't really know here, I guess.
Seven is pretty much unmoved by the story, flatly refusing Janeway's request, summarizing that they will soon be surrounded by Hirogen vessels, and if they do not surrender the creature, the Hirogen will destroy Voyager. And in what is possibly the line of the episode says, compassion will do me little good if I am dead. They argue the semantics of the situation a bit more, but Seven remains unbowed. Janeway finally orders Seven to help. Seven refuses, telling Janeway, I will not be a willing participant in my own destruction or the destruction of this ship. Janeway says, objection noted, we'll do this without you. Seven just replies, and you will fail. This is not good. Janeway is now angry.
Yeah.
She sends Seven to the cargo bay, telling her to stay there until this is all over. And the look on Janeway's face is priceless.
Eye roll.
Janeway is somebody who's not used to someone telling her no.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the dramatic eye roll and headshake was about. Is it about her just being defiant or disagreeing or not taking the order? Or is she upset that she hasn't made as much progress as she thought? I mean, what exactly is Janeway mad about? I guess she's just mad because the situation is not going the way she expects.
The latter. I think it's entirely down to, at this point, Seven, you should get what I'm trying to tell you here. That this act of compassion, it's about you becoming more human, becoming the better person. And I think the frustration was the fact that Seven is not seeing the benefit of it, not just the fact that she's saying no.
Yeah, she's taken no strides in that direction, and I suppose that's frustrating. But
Right.
I do get that compassion maintains your hold on humanity. That's kind of what
Yes.
Janeway was saying. Because it's always about the leader, right? How did you give this message, or how did you get here with her? You can't just blame her for it. I mean, I suppose you can, but maybe in a less stressful situation. I mean, maybe discuss how that compassion can impact the situation, not just you, but how it could allow you to have a different connection to that other species that isn't there or hasn't been there before. I suppose from Seven's point of view, thinking that you're somehow going to make an emotional connection with species 8472 is naive, right? She would have seen no evidence that there could have been one, but the Borg would never have tried that.
And she still has a problem with making those emotional connections.
Yeah.
So I think that also adds to her, why she's looking at this so strangely. It's like, I don't understand why you would want to make that emotional connection or that compassion, because she doesn't truly understand what that means or feels like.
Right. It's not that it's strange. It's that the view is so narrow.
Yes. Yeah.
The experience that she had with every species was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it was never about understanding them or connecting with them or working with them. It was always about conquering them.
Right. Whereas Janeway, being the Starfleet leader, will be looking at, how can we make a bridge to these people? Where's our common ground?
Right. And what she's dealing with in Seven is someone whose mind is so narrow because of her upbringing, really. And it's almost like she's struggling to show an uneducated person something that requires an education. You know what I mean? And that's impossible.
Because I think this scene that Mulger and Ryan are absolutely on form.
Oh, yeah, both great.
This is a great example of, I would say, the morality of Star Trek, the morality of purpose versus the practicality of survival. And I think Seven is completely focused on that practicality of survival.
Right. And Starfleet doesn't think that's the only thing you should care about.
Yes.
In fact, they would put other stuff above survival. Right. And Seven even kind of mentions that. But yeah, it's hard for her to connect those dots.
I also feel there's also an element of Janeway running into the first real problem with her project. Her project has her own sense of moral behavior and of self-preservation. And it is at a 180 degrees from Janeway's.
No, I don't know that Seven is acting out of morality or ethics. But survival, yes. And she's putting survival ahead of everything. And again, is that because there's some PTSD left over from how 8472 just killed all of her people? Or is it just that she hasn't had an opportunity to learn what this is?
Well, I think that's where Seven's moral compass and her ethical behavior is all focused around her survival, which is what would come from the Borg. And it hasn't, if you like, it hasn't expanded beyond that.
Yeah, and how you were talking about how we should be training her more. this is a good example of something.
This is where the deprogramming would come in.
Yeah. That it would have been great if she'd had some discussions about morality.
Why you should care about other people.
Why you should care about other people.
Yeah, even if they're not members of the crew.
And even if you can't break through on that one, getting her to understand that yes, it is okay to have opinions and your individuality is important because we keep telling her that. And she keeps saying, you're trying to make me an individual, but then you knock me down at every opportunity. But it's like, yes, and we still want you to have opinions because we want ideas, but this crew does have a hierarchy. Yeah. And in times of stress like this, you have to follow the captain. If you don't want to, you have to get out of this crew.
It's like, yes, you want to be an individual, but you're also within a society.
Right. Yeah, I want to do whatever I want. Well, but you can't take that thing because that thing belongs to someone else. You can't just go and steal because you will end up with your choices having consequences.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking another thing I just thought of. Seven effectively became a Borg as a child. How much of her emotional development was basically stopped by the Borg until she was released from the collective?
I would say all of it, yeah.
Yeah, and what you're seeing with Seven is an accelerated emotional growth timeline. And at this part in the story, and maybe the writers intended this, she's becoming like a teenager.
Right. Oh, she's a stubborn teenager.
Yeah, she's discovered her own independence. She can think her own ways. I don't have to do what you're telling me to. Your ideas are wrong. So if you like, Janeway's...
I hate you.
Yeah, Janeway, if you like, is now dealing with someone who's emotionally a teenager. So this is another reason why that there's part of the conflict here. That's
interesting, yeah. She wasn't expecting to have to deal with puberty. You shouldn't arm the kid.
From an emotional growth standpoint, that's where Seven has reached.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there was an opportunity, I guess because we're under so much stress here and time is short, but there could have been an opportunity to have like Chakotay talk to her about, hey, the same thing happened before we made the alliance with the Borg. I vehemently disagreed with it. And I told her all the reasons I thought it was going to fail. I didn't do it on the bridge. I did it in a private conversation.
Yeah.
She heard me, but we still did what she wanted. And I followed her orders until he had a chance not to. But anyway, he doesn't have to tell her that part.
She was brain damaged at the time.
But I mean, there are examples within Voyager's recent history that someone could have talked to her about. But I guess we don't have that opportunity here. We're under duress.
Yeah.
Under duress, she's like, no, I'm not doing that.
This should have happened before this point.
It should have happened before. Yeah. Or we shouldn't have, forced her to be I'm not saying we forced her, but we shouldn't have made her part of this crew and given her such important responsibilities. I mean, she's right in all the stressful situations when she's not ready to be. But of course, we have to put her there because, like...
the drama.
Atiba said, ratings. He's not wrong.
I will offer one defense of Janeway's approach here.
Okay.
This is the first rescued Borg they've ever had.
Yeah, I get that.
Picard was a fully evolved adult human when he was taken.
Yeah.
Seven is something else entirely.
Yeah.
Cut to another space battle. At this point in the season, we are so into space battles. I love it. 3 Hirogen ships are attacking Voyager. They're slowly taking Voyager's shields down, and Tuvok reports Voyager's weapons have little effect on the Hirogen ships. Which, considering they can take blasts from bioship weapons, not really surprising.
Yeah, we need to work on that. That's problematic.
I'm just disappointed nobody on the bridge said, good job, Captain, you've literally got us into the worst possible situation.
No, they wouldn't, because she's gotten them into worse situations and always gotten them out. Now fly this thing through binary pulsars. Okay.
The Hirogen hail, demanding their prey. But Janeway tells them they can have their crewman back, but the creature is under their protection. This doesn't go well, as he cuts transmission and just starts firing again.
Oh, no.
If you notice, this guy has, like, green stripes on his helmet.
Yep.
So is he, like, a senior hunter or clan leader?
I think they just like their colors.
In the makeshift brig, 8472 awakes, and the Doctor informs Janeway it appears to be regenerating and is becoming highly agitated. Janeway orders Seven to this holding area with a supply of nanoprobes.
Janeway pretty quickly backed down on her own order of Seven being in the cargo bay and not helping. We'll do this without you. But she immediately calls Seven and asks for help, and Seven does it. I would argue from here, Janeway caused what's about to happen by backing down on her own order.
Oh. Like, maybe she should have got the doctor to bring the nanoprobes.
Because she told her, right?
Yes.
Seven was not going to help her. She told her, fine, we'll do it without you. And then 20 seconds later, she pulls her out of the cargo bay to go and do something. It's like, why then are you surprised by what Seven does?
Okay, I did not think of that at all.
I always blame the leaders.
B'Elanna tells Chakotay she can put a transport lock on the creature, but hasn't managed to duplicate the deflector protocols to make the singularity. And worse, she'll need at least another hour. On the bridge, there's a direct hit to the EPS manifold, and force fields go offline. They switch to backup, and the doctor reports the creature is still contained. But in sickbay, we see both security officers are down, and Tony Hirogen is free.
They were standing way too close to the force field. As soon as that went down, he was just going to take them both out with one swipe.
Yes, and because it's Starfleet, there's no one posted at the door,
Nope.
on the other side of the door, or even down the corridor.
Nope.
Layered security is not a concept in Starfleet protocols.
Or even, could we do something analog in case the digital fails?
Oh, you mean like lock the doors?
Yeah. Or, some handcuffs. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Back on the bridge, more hits to Voyager, and they take out both warp nacelles. Seven arrives at the creature just as Tony Hirogen arrives, taking out both the security guards, who are always pointing the wrong way.
Yeah, they're always distracted.
Seven and Hirogen face off with phaser rifles, but the Hirogen has figured Seven out, telling her, "You want me to destroy this creature. I saw it on your face." There's another hit on the ship, and the containment field goes down, and the creature and the Hirogen begin fighting. Seven pulls off a panel and begins typing. On the bridge, Harry reports someone is accessing the transporter system, and it's locking him out with Borg encryption commands. And we see the species 8472 and the Hirogen locked in combat beam away mid-fight. Harry reports they've been beamed onto one of the Hirogen ships. The Hirogen immediately leave at high warp. Janeway wants to pursue, but Tom tells her the warp is offline.
There's a moment right at the end of the scene where Chuckles comes up to Janeway and quietly says, 7 of 9. And she turns her head to the camera and says, 7 of 9.
Yes.
I thought that moment was awesome.
Yes.
Like, they both know who did it. They both know what happened. And she mad.
Oh, she is extremely annoyed.
Yeah, I really like that. Though I do question, what was she supposed to do in that situation? 7, I guess she could have beamed them to the brig or to sickbay, or she could have just beamed the Hirogen over. But, at that point, they were disabled. The ship was a sitting duck. So, did she do the wrong thing? I don't know.
We'll wait for overanalysis on that.
Okay.
Cut to a captain's log. Do you want the stardate, Kim?
Oh, no thanks.
It's 12 hours later, and scans show no signs of Hirogen, but Janeway's sure the hunt for Voyager is far from over. In the cargo bay, Seven is regenerating, and Janeway enters, looking very no-nonsense as she marches up to Seven's alcove.
Difficult conversation incoming.
She tells Seven, "You disobeyed orders, condemning a sentient being to its death." Seven protests that she stopped Voyager from being destroyed, but Janeway shuts her down, pointing out it was not her decision to make, and she didn't come to debate Seven. She's come to inform her of the consequences. My note here says, "Oh, you're in trouble."
Mm-hmm.
Janeway talks about how she's been accommodating to Seven and her unorthodox way of doing things, but that's come to an end. Janeway is revoking Seven's access to any primary system on the ship, and if she circumvents them, she'll throw Seven in the brig. She can still work in the astrometrics lab. Otherwise, she can spend her time in the cargo bay. As she leaves, Seven tells Janeway, it's strange that despite her being told to cultivate her independence and humanity, when she tries to assert independence, she is punished. Janeway replies, on a starship, there are limits. There is a command structure. Seven counters, I am being punished because I do not think the way you do. I am not becoming more like you. You claim to respect my individuality, but you are frightened by it. Janeway doesn't rise to the bait and just says, as you were, and leaves. The end.
When you think about Seven being a teenager, this conversation is really interesting.
Yes.
Because it is a lot like talking to a defiant teenager who,
right.
It's like, I'm not turning into you, so that's why you're mad.
Yeah.
It's like, well, not exactly.
I also think maybe explaining to Seven where the limits are would maybe kind of be useful.
Right, because she says individuality has its limits, especially on a starship with a command structure. But yeah, why not say it's fine for you not to think like I do, but you still have to respect my authority or you're not part of the crew.
Right.
And we're not on Earth. If we were on Earth, you could think however you wanted and do whatever was within the laws. But this is different here. We do actually have this command structure that's important for our survival.
And that applies to Neelix, who isn't a member of Starfleet either.
Totally. And Seven says here that she's frightened. And she might be frightened, but it's not because Seven disagrees with her. It's because Seven has too much power.
Yes.
And she's able to use it. Like, she can just take over the ship without thinking.
Yeah, I mean, she locked Harry out of the transporter controls with no problem.
And Neelix couldn't a few episodes ago because he's not a Borg with so much power. So I think what she fears is that she's able to do that, but none of her decisions are based in humanity.
Yeah.
They may be based on safety and survival, like you said, but they're not within the evolution of humanity. And that's what makes her scary.
I think that's a really good point. Seven is not behaving like an evolved human.
She's not. She's behaving like a strappy teenager.
You know, what maybe made some of these scenes between Seven and Mulgrew work so well was that now we know Mulgrew did not like Jerry Ryan back in the day.
Yeah, maybe. We talked about when she first came on that we couldn't see any evidence of that. But now, like, is there evidence of that? Or is that just because that's how the characters have evolved? And we're doing overanalysis now, by the way. But I think it's important that Janeway has a foil.
Oh.
Right? Like, Kes was almost like someone she was mentoring, and they were really friendly, and she was almost like Kes's mom. But this is completely different. This character needed to do something, couldn't just be Janeway's perfect little mentor doing whatever she wanted. So this was inevitable.
Yeah.
So I don't know that this has anything to do with what was going on outside of the story. I think this was inevitable as a story writing technique.
Right.
But you should go ahead with overanalysis since we already started.
Well, I want to go to something you brought up.
Okay.
I didn't think about this. Janeway calling on Seven 20 seconds after she told her to go to her room and think about what she's done. Is this all Janeway's fault? Because she put Seven in a situation knowing there was this problem that Seven would react in such a self-preservation way. Mm-hmm. And Janeway set Seven up basically for failure.
Oh, 100%. Janeway caused her own problem. Seven was clear she was not going to follow her orders. And she was contained in the cargo bay for a minute until Janeway called and said, oh, go and do whatever with the nanoprobes, and dropped her right into the heart of the problem. So this is totally Janeway's fault that happened.
For me, that leads on to, well, in that case, is Janeway's punishment for Seven really appropriate?
Well, yes, because she still did disobey the orders. She still needs Seven to be a part of the command structure, so that she can utilize her, or that she can trust that she's not going to try to sabotage her at every turn.
Yeah.
So yes, I think the punishment is still correct, because ultimately she did do the thing against orders. She did do that. The difference is Janeway put her in the position to allow it to happen, and she shouldn't have. So she is to blame for putting Seven into that situation, but Seven is still responsible for not following the orders.
Yeah. Okay. And interestingly, I can think of at least one more future episode where Seven really does her own thing as well. Not the last time we're going to see this.
I'm not surprised.
Next thing. So I feel part of this episode is a bit of a struggle for me because for Janeway, is this really the hill you're going to die on? You did a deal with the Borg. You've developed a biological weapon for use against the sentient species. And you're getting into a fight with a homicidal race that views all of your crew as just tasty ingredients for soup, and you're going to make your stand here?
Well, this kind of falls back to the who are we if we don't uphold our own principles conversation, though.
In this case, dead.
Yeah, but I think that is how Starfleet is intended to behave. I mean, they were having the same problem back with the Kazon in whatever episode that was. And Chakotay was sort of saying the same thing, like, we're not going to survive if we keep upholding these principles of the Alpha Quadrant and the Federation. And Janeway was like, okay, then we'll do it your way, and everything went wrong. And she's like, see, I told you that was a terrible idea. But I do think it's slightly out of character from what she's become this season.
Yes, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of this, I would add there's also another layer. You're in an area of space that is controlled by the Hirogen.
Yeah. And you've just learned your weapons don't work against them.
This is their societal norms. Yeah. This is how they operate. Their morality is the dominant one.
Yeah.
Are you really, as a Starfleet officer, really doing the right thing, denying these people their rights as the indigenous peoples? Are you coming in and forcing your morals on them and expecting them to behave the way you want? Which, ultimately, if they'd continued, would have cost them all their lives.
Well, it's the impossible question of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Imagine if she had decided to just sacrifice the alien, and everybody on the ship knew the alien was not doing anything to try to harm them.
Yeah.
That the alien was just trying to go home. So imagine if she just said, okay, I'm just going to turn them over and let them kill it.
Yeah.
What does that do to your internal ethics? Or your own sense of morality?
Yeah.
Could that also just cause everything to unravel? It would just be a slower death.
So the captain loses their the respect of the crew, or almost the right to command.
And I just feel like Janeway has proven she's gotten them out of worse situations.
Yeah.
And so I think she's just assuming, I'll find a way out of this. Yes, everything seems terrible, but I always find a way out. I'll do some other crazy thing that will get us out of here.
Yeah.
And so that's where her head has been. But somebody took that away from her, and I think that's why she's mad.
Interesting.
If the things that happened in Year of Hell had actually happened, Seven would have gone along with the captain. But we erased all that.
Why would you say that?
Because Janeway was able to get them out of an impossible situation.
Oh.
She still did, but none of them know it.
That's right.
And even with the Borg, Janeway got them out of an impossible situation, so she's done it multiple times, to the point that I think the crew is like, okay.
Crazy lady gonna be crazy, we're following her.
She's the boss, so I'm sure she's gonna save us. If I do something else, then I'm probably gonna die. And Seven doesn't have that, at least not as much of that evidence.
Yeah. Maybe at the end of the day, we're missing something. Seven was actually frightened.
Well, that's what I was trying to say, where it's...
Seven was genuinely fearful for her life and couldn't process those emotions correctly.
Because she doesn't think she's immortal anymore.
Yes. And when we saw that...
She used to, in Mortal Coil.
Yeah. That look she gives Tuvok in that episode, it's like, you're not so sure about your immortality anymore.
There's really no way, once they found out or figured out that alien was not trying to harm them, there was really no other option for Starfleet personnel.
Yeah.
There was no other option left except to try to help that alien get home. They also could have said, we don't want to let this alien get killed on our watch because that could restart that war. That could reopen that the whole original problem that this started with. So they could have said that. The Hirogen wouldn't have cared about that. Yeah. But Seven maybe would have cared about that. I don't know.
The Hirogen. Oh, cool. More things to kill.
But there's just no way that she could have just said, okay, here you go. Yeah, just take it. That's fine. Yeah. I just don't see how that would have worked.
Okay. I see your point. Next thing.
Yeah.
I think I have a way out of Seven for this.
Mm-hmm.
The force field goes down. The Hirogen and the species 8472 start fighting. Seven shoots the creature with the nanoprobes, subduing it. And at that point, the Hirogen could have probably pretty easily killed it and just said, thanks for the assist.
Oh, and she would have been like, I did it. I followed my orders.
I was trying to subdue it, but the force fields went down and the Hirogen killed it. I'm the victim of circumstance.
Yep.
Next thing. So, the Hirogen. This body armor seems to cover most of their body, except the face, with the small mask over it. So, are their skin resistant to vacuum, sub-zero temperatures, all this stuff?
Apparently.
I mean, and their eyes? Unless you could say, well, there's actually also a force field when they put the mask on, so that's what protects them.
I think you're going to have to go with the force field. Because, yes, Chuckles asks if that suit can withstand it, but doesn't say, oh, and can your face withstand it?
What about your face? Yeah.
Yeah.
Stings a bit. Next thing, Tom makes a reference to tracking a mouse in a Jeffries tube.
Yeah.
Does Voyager have a rodent problem? And are space cats a real thing?
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about. Maybe it was something that came in on a container they traded for or something.
Or maybe it's a holodeck game, chasing mice through Jeffrey's tubes.
But yeah, we need a cat for sure.
Oh, I think you need cats on spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing. So what happened to the bioship that 8472 was in? Is that like just hanging out in an asteroid field? Wouldn't that contain a lot of very useful technology? Or it was biologically based technology. So I guess
maybe not. Yeah.
You couldn't actually get anything useful out of it.
I assume it crashed on the asteroid or something.
Set it to self-destruct.
Yeah.
Next thing. So when the Hirogen ship just flies at Voyager and then stops, I assume it was fully under the control of 8472?
Oh, I hadn't thought about it. I wondered why it stopped.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe it had taken control of it.
Yeah, it picked up the bumble ball and turned it and got it close to Voyager, then jumped.
Yeah, I'd assumed that the ship was under control of 8472. And I think with that wraps up my overanalysis.
Well, let's see. I have a couple things. We've already talked about him. In the end, Janeway was right about most of the things that she said. She wanted to not just randomly kill the alien because she needed to know if an invasion was coming. That was her first concern.
A very valid one.
Yeah, and then she learned that's not what it was. And although it could have been a lie, but her instinct was that what the alien was saying was true because it was so injured and just wanted to get home. And so if you're not at war with that alien, then the decision was appropriate, yeah. I thought, what she was trying to do. But like we were talking about, you have to weigh that against all the risk. My second thing was she also never thought to kill the Hirogen, but that's maybe the thing we should have done.
Can someone kill the Hirogen?
Or just put him back on his damaged ship and let him rot until his friends find him. I mean, that also would have been an option.
This might be the dark path. Just let the Hirogen die from his injuries. Mm-hmm. Don't tell them about species 8472. And, just give the body to the Hirogens and say his ship turned up, badly damaged. He was dead. This is how we found him. We tried to rescue him, but he was dead. Because if you look at these aliens, and we didn't know it right when we found them, but we learned that they don't have a home and they do nothing but hunt. So trying to reason with an apex predator makes no sense. But again, she was able to forge an alliance with the Borg, which I think colors all of her decisions. So maybe that was part of the problem. But I think I am one hell of a diplomat.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So maybe that colored her decision, but it's just really interesting.
Well, the only risk would be the Hirogen did have that scanning beam that they used on the shuttle a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So
they would have found
the 8472 on there. And if they're sharing, I assume they share information because they did have that big sensor network. Maybe that's the whole point. They share what their current prey are.
Yeah, maybe.
What is the hottest prey this season?
But if they can scan and see that alien, then Voyager should have taken some of their technology from their ship.
Oh, yeah. They've got a Hirogen ship sitting right there. Borrow some of the technology.
They should have had that ship blow up, I think.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I would have just pushed him back out. Here you go.
Good luck.
But otherwise, I think we've analyzed enough. So I will move on to women in the future. And I don't know what the weird thing was with Janeway's makeup in this episode. Like, if you're going to all of a sudden put a bunch of lipstick on her, you should also put it on Chuckles. Then it wouldn't bother me. Seemed dumb. But by the end, it seemed to be gone. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next episode. Yeah. In Janeway's Leadership Corner, the difficult conversation at the end was pretty interesting. Yeah. It's a very useful, I'll try not to repeat what we said before. I would say this is a very useful technique when you're there to deliver a message to say, I didn't come here to debate and not get into a debate about anything. It's like, I'm not going to argue with you about what happened. I just came here to inform you of what is going to happen next.
Sort of, we both know what the facts are. We're past that stage.
Exactly. But I do feel like Seven's actions are all based on us not appropriately leading her up to this point.
Yes, 1,000% I agree with that.
Yeah. It's like you said, she skipped all of the normal evolution of a human, or the rest of the adults on the ship have had. She grew up with no empathy around her, so she's just not going to get it. All right, well, we've been talking for a long time, so let's go to rating. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral. What is your rating?
Absolute 2 thumbs up. What a fantastic episode. Great acting from Ryan and Mulgrew. They had the 2 best scenes in the show. I think the story was good. I loved the space battles. Tony Todd as Hirogen. That guy totally got the brief. Thoroughly enjoyed it. What a great episode. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree. Thumbs up. This is a great episode because it's led to these discussions we're having, these debates about what was the right thing to do. And that's a big part of Star Trek.
Right.
So I like that. And of course, the performances were great. Tony Todd was a pretty scary Hirogen. He did a great job. It's, of course, because he has such a unique voice, and the way he uses it forcefully can be quite frightening. But Kate Mulgrew and Jerry Ryan were great in this episode. And I just love that little scene with Chakotay and the captain when they're like, 7 of 9 did this. I thought that was just really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the thumbs up.
Excellent.
Well, that wraps up Season 4, Episode 16. Come back next week for Episode 17. In the meantime, if you'd like to send us your own overanalysis of this or any episode, or if you just want to say something nice, you can email us at ReBingeIT@gmail.com. We are also on the socials at ReBingeIT. We're on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and Blue Sky. You can join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Star Trek TTM podcasts.
Thanks for joining us on the ReBinge Star Trek Voyager podcast.
That's it for me.
And that's it from me.